What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see back behind me, on what started out looking like it was going to be a fantastic day, but not looking so great now. The temperatures ain't bad, but the clouds have done covered up the sun, and some gusts of wind just came out of nowhere, about 15-mile-an-hour wind that looks like it's going to hang around for the rest of the day. But ain't no sense in whining about it. I can either do it or not do it, so we're going to get stuff done out here. I've got a couple more interesting tests planned, and this one right here should be some pretty good 40 Smith & Wesson. So, of course, we got the jelly contraption ready to roll with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now, I've done only one test, and I did manage to keep it on the back side, but it snuck up here a little bit. It won't have anything to do with this test here. We should have plenty of room to get this one done. Of course, as always, I've got the heavy clothing barrier here with a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got for this one is some Federal Classic ammo in 40 Smith & Wesson. We've got the Hi-Shok, the 40 Smith & Wesson 180 grain Hi-Shok JHP. This is the item 40 SWA. Now, this is a 180 grain projectile. You can see there, brass case with that Hi-Shok projectile. The Hi-Shok is an older design. It's before the Hydra-Shok, before the HST and all that jazz. It's basically, you can think of it as a Hydra-Shok without the post. So Hydra-Shok without the post. Now, there are probably a couple more little subtle changes in engineering, but basically, again, it's a Hydra-Shok without the post. Now, the ballistics on the box here are saying 900 feet per second at the muzzle. However, everywhere I see this stuff listed online, it says 1,000. Now, I don't know which one is correct. I'm going to have to assume that this is the correct one since it's actually printed on the box as 900. And they didn't say any kind of barrel length, so I'm a little bit worried about this stuff right here. 900 feet per second with a 180 grain projectile. That's not the fastest stuff by any means. But as usual, I'm going to give it a couple different chances to act right out here. We've got a shorter barrel here with the G27, and then we've got the full-size G22 that's got the 4.5-inch barrel. And like I always mention with these 40 Smith & Wesson tests, if you're running a G23, you can kind of guesstimate as far as in-between performance here. So this should be pretty interesting. The Hi-Shok is not a bad projectile by any means. It's actually what's loaded in that real spicy 9mm, the 9B PLE. So it's a good projectile if it's pushed fast enough. That's what we're going to have to worry about right here. Let's get everything set up and see what happens. All right, let's see how fast this stuff is actually moving. I'm going to do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with the 27 here first. Now remember, the box itself is saying 900 on this, and I'm not sure what barrel length. I'm sure it's longer than this right here though. If y'all not familiar with this radar, you're going to see multiple velocity readings. The large number is right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. Those are set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the others set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. I really hate the weather's turning like this. I mean, this is terrible. It started out looking like a fantastic day, supposed to be mid-60s, almost high 60s, but I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't no way if these clouds stay like this, and it's everywhere, but whatever. I know y'all ain't here for a weather report. Let's see how fast this stuff's moving. 940, so it's over 900, 934, 951, 947, and 935, so over the 900 that the box has printed on it. So I'm guessing that 1,000 everybody else is claiming is correct. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was actually 941 feet per second. We had an extreme spread of 17 with a 7.4 standard deviation, so nice consistency from this stuff. And 941, I mean, that's nice compared to what the box is anyway. For a 180 grain projectile though, obviously I want more than that even from a 40 Smith & Wesson, but it exceeds the box, so I'm assuming it should be 1,000. I'm not sure why they got 900 on the box. But let's reset it and see if the 22 can actually hit the 1,000. All right, let's see what we get from this 4.5-inch. I feel pretty confident we're gonna hit that 1,000 right here. The first couple may be a little short, but I feel like we're gonna hit it. 992, 976, 974, 976, and 986, so didn't quite hit that 1,000, but I guess that does make sense. Let's check out the average. All right, so that time we had a 5-round average of 981. We had an extreme spread of 18 with a 7.7 standard deviation. So once again, nice consistency from this stuff. 981, and if you remember out to 27, it was 941, so 40 FPS. That's right on the money of where we should be according to the barrel difference. All that being said, I mean, that's not very quick for a 180 grain projectile, but but these Hi-Shoks are decent, even though they're an older design. If they've got the velocity that they need, hopefully this is what they need. Let's get it all set up. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's can you get the most without the post jelly time. I'm gonna put one through each barrel length into the gel, starting with this 27. I'm really not sure what kind of guess to make on this one either. I'm just gonna go for it here. This one's a toss-up if you ask me. Can't tell what happened. Let me go check it out. All right, y'all, glad to see that one right there is looking really nice. I expected if it did do well, it'd do pretty good, but that looks really, really good down there. So this one out of 22 should do fantastic. Let's see what it gives us. All right, that's gonna be looking good down there, I got a feeling. Let's go check these out. All right, y'all, let's check his stuff out down here. Definitely not what I expected from this one I just sent from the 22. I think what you're seeing here is a result of just an inconsistent older design round, and probably one of the reasons they made changes because of inconsistent performance. But as far as what we got here on the top, that's the one from the 27. This one did an amazingly nice job. You can see comes in here, nice disruption, basically all the way through this first block, goes into the second block, probably 2.5, 3 inches, and it looks like we got some nice expansion on this one now. Doesn't look like it's maybe not fully expanded, but looks like you got plenty of expansion. But then surprisingly down below that, we got maybe you could call it worse performance now. Really not worse, I guess, because you can see it looks pretty much the same. I mean, same penetration basically, same kind of disruption here as you see all the way through the block here. I believe what happened with this one is it could not expand because it was clogged with cloth, because as you can see here, there's no signs of tumbling. It goes all the way through this block. Right here at the junction, when I pull y'all in closer, you'll be able to see there's a bunch of cloth. Now, what probably happened is, a lot of times this happens when they pass in between these blocks, it'll spin the projectile around. And this one is sitting here backwards, so it probably spun it around, dumped that cloth out, and then it just kept going a little further. But let's get the penetration measurement here on them. The one on the top through the 27 is right at 19 inches, so absolutely beautiful right there if you ask me. And then down below that from the 22 is at 19.5, so ½ inch further, but there's a big difference on the expansion. And here you go with the closer look again on top 27 to bottom 22. So far pretty much this whole entire way they look about the same. Now once you hit this junction right here, you can see kind of how clean that line right there is, and then look down here. You can see that denim and the darker t-shirt I've got. It's just dumped it out right there as it passed through, and then there's the result of that. It didn't have enough time to expand when it was full of that cloth. It dumped it out, but it was too late. You go up here and you can see the difference. You got some nice expansion on that one. Top view's not really worth much because they're just basically right on top of each other, but as you can see, same kind of deal passing on through here. Once again, the 27 on the top, the 22 on the bottom. All right, let's take a look at these projectiles, y'all. Big difference right here. This one right here is from the 27. You can see pretty nice expansion right here. Nothing huge as far as expansion, but plenty in my opinion. And this one right here is from the 22, and you can see the result of that clogging. There's even, I left what was in there still in there. Some of it got pulled out, pulling it out, but you can see there's no doubt that's what happened here. Just a combination of clogging and low velocity, because it probably stayed clogged because it was just lacking the velocity it needed to push on through, push that stuff out, and get that lead expanded out. It's nice to have, you know, a light recoiling round that's easy to handle, but if it's too light to get the projectile to work, then it's no good. And I could definitely tell these were lighter even without looking at the numbers, because that little 27 is a finger stinger with some spicy loads, and you could feel nothing with these. But let's get some numbers on them and see what we got. As far as the weight, they started at 180. This one from the 27 is at 180.4, so no loss right there. I suspect it's probably gonna be the same here. Yeah, this one from the 22 is actually 180.8, so absolutely nothing lost from either one. And then as far as the sizes, we'll do this 27 first. You got 5.70 and 5.85, so nice expansion right there from the 27. And then this one from the 22 is just gonna be a lopsided mess. This way that didn't expand, you're smaller than the base, you're at 3.70. And then if you wanna count that one little pedal right there that expanded, you're at 5.22. And there you go, y'all, the Federal Premium Classic Hi-Shok in 40 Smith & Wesson. Really didn't know what to expect from these, and I kind of was surprised with the 22 after I saw this one, but really not overall. I suspect, you know, most of the changes that were made to these to improve them with the newer rounds are because of just inconsistency like this. This one right here, that's a real shame, or really both of these. If they would spice these up just a little bit, because you can look at these rounds, I mean, they can easily take more velocity, a little bit more spice, and these things would be some really nice rounds. They would probably be pretty nice to a carbine already, but they're still on the weaker side. Now, the one other plus about these is they're dirt cheap. I got them for absolute dirt cheap from my local shop as Leo Trade, and you can probably find them out there just as cheap or close to it anyway. So definitely a plus there, but again, I mean, cheap ain't really good if what you're getting for cheap ain't good. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for a pretty disappointing 40 Smith & Wesson test. It is without a doubt disappointing, but it ain't too horrible. It's not as disappointing as this terrible weather that's moved in, I can tell you that. The day started out fantastic, and now it's actually cold out here. They was talking about mid 60s, mid to high 60s. It ain't no way I keep my house in the high 60s, and I can tell you right now, it's a whole lot colder out here than it is in my house. But anyway, as far as this Hi-Shok ammo, I really didn't expect the best from it. As a matter of fact, when I got this stuff at my local shop, I got it from them, I said, this stuff's gonna perform like absolute trash. That was my exact word. So it didn't perform like absolute trash, but it's definitely nothing that I would call top tier. But now again, the Federal obviously knows that because they call it like their classic line now, I believe. It is less cost than the newer stuff, and they've made a bunch of changes. So obviously they even know it's not the greatest round in the world. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Do any of y'all out there run this Hi-Shok, or maybe the Hydra-Shok? The Hydra-Shok, I'm pretty sure performs much better than this right here, but let me know down in the comments if y'all run this Hi-Shok and what you might run it in. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so hopefully you get notified when I upload new stuff. Take a second if you're doing some shopping and check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you get after hitting those links helps out the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more test planned for out here today, but it's looking like it ain't gonna be very pleasant. I'm gonna try to get it done anyway, so y'all stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.